Hello, Klaus here, and welcome back to yet another video here at the channel. In today's video, I'll show you how you can do a product shot looking very simple like this to look more interesting and more amazing by doing some very simple tricks inside of DaVinci Resolve. So without further ado, let's jump into the video and I'll show you how to do this. Okay, so here we are in DaVinci Resolve and let's get started with this little tutorial about how to do this product shot a little cooler. So first up, we are having here a green screen clip, and all I did was spinning this around on a Lazy Susan. Pretty simple, it's doing one rotation, and then I am right here reversing the clip, and I am making a transition in between. This is a smooth cut just to make it look a little bit better. That's all I'm doing for the editing part. So let's just jump out of this compound clip I have here. I'm just going to click right here and we're going to head over to Fusion. So in Fusion we have here a background node which I did make into an alpha channel, and you do that just by dragging the alpha all the way down to 0. And that is connected to a merge, and in that merge node I have a delta key which is doing the green screen, and on top of that I have the product itself. If you want to know more about using the delta key, I did do a tutorial about using that, so take a look at that right up here in the top corner. And that is of course connected from the merge into the transform, and that's going to do some movements. So this is the basic shot done here. With the green screen. Very simple to do a background. Of course I could do that inside of Fusion, but I want to do some adjustment to the background later, and that's easier to do in the color. So for this I'm just going to go up to my effects and I'll go into the generators. I'm going to take a solid color I have right here, putting that underneath like that. I'm going to select it and I'm going to change the color into a orange color, but not necessarily this orange. So I might go in here and I'm going to adjust that just slightly. Something like that. So for now, this is the color I am going with. And if we take a look already, now we have a super simple product shot with the product. But of course, there are some things we can change. And there are some things I want to change to make this look a little bit better. And all the changing about the product, I'm going to do those inside of Fusion. So I'll go back to Fusion. And first thing I'm going to do is I did do a rectangle here. And that is to take out some of the nasty spill and some of the thing in the green screen that were nice. So I'm going to take my rectangle. I'm going to right click on my mouse. I'm going to drag this to the delta key and let go. And I'm just going to put this in as a garbage matte. So if we go right here, if we go back, you can actually see it took out the nasty colors you had here. Again, back to Fusion. I am also going to add in a color corrector, and I did do that already. By the way, if you want to add in a note in between here, for instance, you can push Shift, take your note, and then drag and let go when it's coloring up like you see with the blue and green. So we're going to put in this color for now. And this is the basic shot. So I want to do some kind of an animation on my product here. So I can do that either in the transform node or I can do that in the merge node. In this case, I'm just going to do it in the merge node. And I want to, let's say on frame 24, I want to be where I am right here. And I want to put in a keyframe in the center, in the size, and in the angle. Okay, and then I'll go to the end or the beginning of my animation. And I'm going to push this all the way out of frame. And then I'll go into the angle and I'm going to rotate that just slightly. So now we have this rotating in. And for what I'm doing, that's what I want. And we're going to let it stay here for some part of our animation. Let's say at frame 122. Actually, let's say 120. I'm going to put in keyframes again in the center, in the size, and in the angle. And I'll go to the last frame, and then I want the angle to change here, and I want the position to be out. So this is what we have. It's going in, turning around, and going out. Also, I do actually want to zoom up this bit. So let's say I want to zoom this up to this size here. And again, for this particular keyframe, I'm going to zoom up again a little. So we have a little movement here. Cool. So that's what I want to do for the bottle itself. Then I want to go back to the edit page. And now we have this animation here moving around, which is something. However, I want to give in a little bit more. I want to do an effect on the background, like the effect there is a spotlight or something like that on the back. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to use my solid color. However, if I take the solid color and I go into the color page now, you'll see nothing is turning up. That's because this is nothing yet. But if I right click and I do a new compound clip, I'm going to call this BG background like that. And then I'll go into the color. I'm going to take my background clip. First off, I want to take down the saturation a little bit. And I'm then going to right click here and I'm going to add in a new note. And in this case, a serial note. Then I'm going to take in a mask here. And I'm just going to take a circular. Just going to put that right here. And then I'm going to boost this up like so. And I'm going to feather this out a bit. And then I'm going to go here to the lift and I'm going to either drag it down or up. So in this case, I'm going to drag it up here in the lift so it's creating a beam. And I'll go back to the page here. However, I want to add in something more. So I'll again go back to the color page and I'm going to select my clip here. And I'm going to actually to the first note here, I'm going to add in some film grain. Let's do that. I'm just going to go up here and I'm going to write film. So I have my film grain. I'm going to add that to the background and it's going to be noticeable when I change stuff around. So I'm going to go to, let's say, let's keep it at 16 mil. If we click here, we can see the grain only, and then we can change the texture and the grain size. A little side note about using film grain is that film grain is only available in the studio version. If you do not have the studio version, you could use a film grain overlay that can be found on the net for free. So you could do that and then do a composite mode and blend that in as well. It's a different way of using it, but since I do have the film grain in the studio version, I might as well use it. So I'm not just adding in a little bit of film grain here. So there we go. And like that. And then we might as well go back here to the edit page. Have something I don't like right here, so I need to fix that by going back to Fusion, and I'll have to take a look at my rectangle, so I might as well minimize this a little bit. Oh, this is my garbage mat, so I can just control this or make this a little bit smaller, so it should be gone now. There we go. So last thing to add in, which I think can give some more depth to the shot itself. Again, selecting the top clip and going into Fusion. And I'm going to add in here a drop shadow. And to get to that, you can push Shift Spacebar. I'm just going to write drop. There we have the drop shadow, and I'm going to add that in, not necessarily here. So I'm going to push Shift and drag so I can take it out of the line here, and I'm going to add it in before the transform. And now I want to go up here in the inspector, and I can then, change the strength and the angle. I think I want it here. Also the distance. And here we have a thing in Resolve. I can't push this further away unless I go in here. Unless I go in and change the numbers. So let's say I'm going to change this to 1 dot here, like that. So now we can move this further away, like that. And I'm going to go into the something like that, I think. And the angle, I might want to have it here. And then I'll take down the strength. In fact, I think I want to move the shadow a little bit closer to the product, like so. And again, I'm going to push out the shadow strength, something like that. And then I want to do a little last thing here. Looking pretty good, I think. I'm going to go into the transform, and I'm just going to go and put in a keyframe in the sizing at the beginning, and then I'll go to the end here, and then, I'm just going to zoom in just a little bit, something like that. So now we have this here, and I think it's a pretty cool little interesting shot. Of course, we could, if we wanted to give the effect that the shadow were further away, we would just move that further away. But for this shot, I think it gives a lot of sense having it this way. Of course, if we really wanted to add in a little spice here at the end, and I think we want to do that, we might as well just go in here to the merge here. And I am going to go into the settings, and in the settings, I'm going to add in a motion blur. Just the default setting should be just fine, but of course you could change that around if you really want to. So that is how you could make a product shot a little more interesting using DaVinci Resolve, Fusion, and the color page. Anyway, I do hope you found this little video useful. If you did, please hit that subscribe button, give the video a like, share it with your friends if you think it would help them out, and if you want to be notified every time there's a new video on this channel, please hit that bell icon down in the corner. Until next time, keep filming, keep learning, and keep sharing.